Has become an intolerant nation, that the minorities here live in fear, that there is a dar ka mahal and it's basically a hate factory. But who really is intolerant? That is becoming increasingly clear as threats and beheading calls to Hindus across the country are on the rise. You all heard of the beheading of Kanhaiya Lal in Udaipur and Umesh Kolhe in Amravati, but the violence is not just physical. From Bihar to Uttar Pradesh, from Rajasthan to Maharashtra, in the last fortnight, ordinary citizens continue to stand bullied, threatened and even physically assaulted. Not because they indulged in any blasphemy, not even close. All they did in fact is to dare express support for Nupur Sharma or even say that people like Umesh Kolhe and Kanhaiya should not have been made victim to such radical Islamists. A 16-year-old girl from Mumbai was given several death threats after she posted in support of Kanhaiya Lal and Nupur Sharma. The chilling threats were given through WhatsApp calls, one of which was via an international number. The police have now registered an FIR in the case and are probing the matter through various angles. Meanwhile, keeping the incidents of Udaipur and Amravati in mind, the girl has been given security cover.
We have observed that during the past few weeks, such kinds of threats are flowing in the air, at the drop of the hat, whether it is political, religious or social. Well, this is nothing but a reflection of deteriorating law and order situation in the state, as also probably the fear of law in the minds of offenders. Supreme Court, I am afraid, will have to immediately come into picture and again describe as to what extent a citizen of India is entitled to express himself or herself, and if he or she crosses that line, then the retaliators must also not be having the liberty of taking law in their hands by sending an intimidation or threats to kill.
Now imagine a 16-year-old girl wasn't spared, a minor being told that you'll be the next victim. In fact, something similar happened in Bharatpur, where two people were given a Sartan se juda threat. A letter was delivered to them by an ambulance driver who said that two men on a bike stopped him and told him to deliver this chilling warning. Rajasthan police has also now deployed security outside the houses of both people.
मुकेश कुमार शर्मा निवासी राम ने कल थाने पर रिपोर्ट पेश की। रिपोर्ट में उसने तहरीर किया कि मैं 104 एम्बुलेंस का ड्राइवर हूँ। कल दिनांक 6/7/2022 को मैं पहाड़ी आ रहा था। महमदपुर के पास में पीछे से सफ़ेद अपाची बिना नंबरी पर दो व्यक्ति आए, जिन्होंने मेरे को रुकवाया। रुकवाने के बाद में मेरी एम्बुलेंस में दो पर्ची फेंकी और मेरे से कहा कि ये पर्ची तेरे गांव ले जा करके दे देगा। मेरे को खंजर बताया और धमकी दी कि अगर आपने पुलिस में शिकायत की तो सर जान से ख़त्म कर देंगे। वो पर्चियों पर मैंने खोल करके देखा तो उसमें लिखा हुआ था सर तन से जुदा सतीश सेठ। दूसरी पर्ची पे भी यही बात लिखी हुई थी।
And that isn't even where it stops. Similar threats were issued pan-India. In Uttar Pradesh's Moradabad, a man was threatened over the phone for his social media post supporting Nupur Sharma. 3 people have been identified who sent out this threat, and 2 of them so far have been arrested. In Ara, a young boy was beaten by a mob, again for a social media post supporting Nupur Sharma. This youth was thrashed while he was at a tea stall. The mob also attacked the owner of the tea stall. After Ajmer Dargah cleric Sarwar Chishti, a hate video has emerged from Haryana where a man is seen offering 2 crore rupees reward again for a threat against Nupur Sharma.
मैं मेवात पूरी की तरफ से दे रहा हूँ। अगर जो नुपुर शर्मा की जीप काट के लाएगा, पूरी मेवात की तरफ से 2 करोड़ रुपए का ऑफर है। 2 करोड़ पूरी मेवात देगी, मैं दूंगा। और बताओ, अगर जीप तू काट ला, 2 करोड़ रुपए का ऑफर तू ले ले। पत्रकार
शिकायत भी प्राप्त हुई थी हमें, और उस वीडियो को देखकर शिकायत को प्राप्त करने उपरांत उसमें हमारी तरफ से एक मुकदमा दर्ज किया गया है। वीडियो में जो बोल रहे हैं उस व्यक्ति के खिलाफ बाय नेम और अन्य के खिलाफ, तो उसमें हम जांच कर रहे हैं। हमारा इसमें सोशल मीडिया मॉनिटरिंग सेल जिले में पूरा एक्टिवली काम कर रहा है, जिसकी निगरानी हर ऐसे फेसबुक, ट्विटर इत्यादि पे जो लोग पोस्ट करते हैं उस पर हमेशा बनी रहती है। और व्हाट्सएप ग्रुपों के अंदर भी हम देखते रहते हैं कि कौन सी वीडियो वायरल हो रही है या कौन से मैसेज वायरल हो रहे हैं। तो उस पर अगर हमें जब भी ऐसा कोई आपत्तिजनक मैसेज दिखता है तो उसके हिसाब से पुलिस की तुरंत कार्यप्रणाली एक्टिवेट हो जाती है और संबंधित के खिलाफ कार्रवाई की जाती है।
बिल्कुल इसकी सख्त कार्रवाई करवाएंगे हम, और ऐसे जो तत्व हैं जो देश की शांति को बिगाड़ना चाहते हैं उनको ये देश कभी बर्दाश्त नहीं करेगा। सरकार ने सब जगह पर कार्रवाई की है, क्योंकि हम देश में इस प्रकार का माहौल पैदा होने नहीं दे सकते। अगर कुछ लोगों की बदजुबानी या गलत सोच की वजह से देश का माहौल ख़राब होने नहीं दिया जाएगा। जो सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई करनी पड़ेगी हम करेंगे।
So is this basically just down to bullying, where a majority, a community is being made to get their backs against the wall? Binay Singh, political analyst; Manaswi Thapar, lawyer and political analyst; Ahmed Ayaz, political analyst; and Bilal Khan, to whom I want to ask the first question. 2 crores to get the tongue of Nupur Sharma. This is not about hurt, Bilal Khan. This is about hate.
Yes, this is, violence is not justified in any kind of condition. Sir, tan se जुदा ये बिल्कुल भी जस्टिफाई नहीं हो सकता एनी काइंड ऑफ कंडीशन।
सर द थिंग इज, हर कोई टीवी पर आकर के कहता है ये जस्टिफाई नहीं होता, ये जस्टिफाई नहीं होता, पर ये कोई रैंडम लोग नहीं है। सरवर चिश्ती से लेकर के गौहर चिश्ती से लेकर के सड़क पे चलता हुआ आम आदमी कोई भी धमका करके चला जाता है।
अनुराग ठाकुर इज ऑल्सो एडेड इन दिस, कपिल मिश्रा,
अनुराग ठाकुर ने किसी का सर नहीं काटा।
ही इज आल्सो हेट स्पीचर्स।
डू नॉट मेक स्ट्रेंज जस्टिफिकेशंस। यहाँ पर 2 लोगों का सर काट दिया गया है। 2 people have been beheaded. हर कोई कहता है कि हम तो भाई पीस की बात कर रहे हैं, पीस की बात कर रहे हैं, कोई पीस की बात नहीं कर रहा है। Basically an entire community is being bullied.
Also support Salman Chishti.
Mr. Khan.
Salman Chishti. मैं शुरू से यही कह रहा हूँ हर चैनल पे जाके, सलमान चिश्ती टाइप के लोग हों या कोई भी हो, वो लोग देश में नफरत फैला रहे हैं। वो हमेशा से शुरुआत से यही होता है कि प्रोपेगेंडा चलाया जा रहा है।
क्या प्रोपेगेंडा बॉस? क्या सलमान चिश्ती अकेले हैं? छोटी छोटी बच्चियां कश्मीर से लेकर के सलमान चिश्ती इज बट अ सिम्टम। The larger malaise is that it is not limited to politicians or some random clerics. You actually have common people. और अगर एक आम आदमी ऐसे बोलने लगेगा बिनय सिंह, then what's the hope? And we are told नहीं हम condemn कर रहे हैं, but this is only propaganda. What is the propaganda? एक आम आदमी वहां पर खड़े होकर के कह रहा है आई विल गिव 2 करोड़। चलिए ठीक है, सलमान चिश्ती नशे में थे, ये आदमी जो कह रहा है कि 2 करोड़ लेकर के मैं आपको दूंगा, वो भी नशे में है।
हम लोग सरसन से जुदा कर देंगे। राजू का नाम लीजिए ना, राजू इज द महंत ऑफ मंदिर वाराणसी। उसने कहा सरतन से जुदा भी हम लोग करेंगे, हम देश में नफरत मुसलमानों को काटेंगे, एक तरफा नैरेटिव में चाहिए। अगर
चलिए आपको एक महंत राजू दास मिल गए हैं जिन्होंने बोला है, तो इट्स ऑल द सेम। ये सब प्रोपेगेंडा है और ये सब एक समान है।
राज ने कहा है कि हम मुसलमानों।
आप ये बताइए मेरे को, मिस्टर बिलाल खान, ओके लेट मी हैव बिनय सिंह रिस्पॉन्ड टू दिस, दैट यू आर ब्लोइंग दिस आउट ऑफ प्रोपोर्शन. It is not about a sustained bullying campaign. This is only propaganda. Binay Singh.
See, so many things, are happening at the same time. Some Chishti is telling something, one Mani Mekalai, she is telling something, and ultimately what the thing came out, but the final word, that they tried to say that India is a hate machine. So here lies the conspiracy, the real conspiracy. All this chaos is intended to brand the greatest democracy of this earth called India as a hate machine. It is an attempt. But all these things, all this chaos is targeted to do that. And this is intellectual terror. And intellectual terror is the format of terror. Like there is bullet terrorism. Somebody use violence to kill someone. There is intellectual terror. You use your knowledge skills, the skill of propaganda. You weaponize the propaganda to implode a country, to implode a society, to bleed India, to demean India, to demonize India.
Intellectual
and this
terror.
is what is happening. This is what is happening.
Intellectual terror, Ahmed Ayaz. This is intellectual terror. Some people seed the hate, and then other people actually carry out the hate.
You see what is the MO, what is the modus operandi?
Yeah.
Two similar things. One.
Okay, Binay Singh and Ahmed Ayaz. Just a second. Binay Singh, finish your point, then Ahmed Ayaz. Binay Singh and Ahmed Ayaz, yes.
Two similar incidents. Nupur Sharma said something that fitted into the definition of blasphemy. Mani Mekalai said some things that also fitted into the same category. But Nupur Sharma is being targeted that it is blasphemous, and Mani Mekalai is being discounted that
Bilal Khan is responding to you.
Right to expression category.
Okay, Ahmed Ayaz also wants to respond. Okay, Ahmed Ayaz, you go first, then Bilal Khan, आपके पास वापस आऊंगी. Yes, Ahmed Ayaz.
This is intellectual terror. This is intellectual terror.
It is not just about who actually wields the weapon. It's also about those who weaponize this perceived sense of hurt to actually carry out violence. Ahmed Ayaz.
Yes.
See, I say with all the freedom of expression, there is no problem to harass someone, to want to abuse someone. I mean, there is an action which needs to be taken to see that the curtail is not allowed. It is very unfortunate that what's happening in what you call it, country post Nupur Sharma's remark and a comment against the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So point is, had been stopped there itself, and possibly the others, though I never mean that.
Sir, till when will you keep going on and on and on about Nupur Sharma? Let me ask you a simple question, Ahmed Ayaz. There are common people. This is a 16-year-old girl in Mumbai. वो 16 साल की लड़की है, उसका नुपुर शर्मा से दूर दूर तक लेना देना नहीं है. You know what she said? She said कि कन्हैया लाल की जिस तरीके से हत्या हुई थी, that was wrong. She was literally saying a poor man shouldn't have been murdered in this fashion. That also she's been threatened for. For what?
What exactly happened? What exactly must be happening?
उसका नुपुर शर्मा से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है.
See what exactly is happening. It may not be directly related to Nupur Sharma, but
indirectly you are hurt. So this is the most random hurt, right? You can say anything and people will get hurt. Now supposedly Nupur Sharma was the blasphemer, so she was supposed to be directed. Threats are supposed to be directed. Now anyone who is saying murder mat karo, अरे तुमने murder के लिए कैसे बोल दिया? I am hurt by that also. Why are you speaking up against murder? I am hurt with that. What is this logic, Mr. Ayaz?
About the total situation in the country. You see how people feel about things. That's the biggest
people feel.
problem.
No, situation. Don't blame it on situation in the country. If somebody is engaging in violence, you will say a situation in the country is to blame. No, that person is to blame. This is like saying that if somebody is very poor, you will justify the murder saying क्योंकि वो गरीब था तो उसने हत्या कर दी तो it's okay क्योंकि उसकी situation खराब थी.
What I'm telling you, it speaks about the what you call it the situation created. Maybe individuals.
What does situation have to do with it, sir? Ahmed Ayaz Saab, can we please have Binay Singh and Ahmed Ayaz? What does the situation in the country, Binay Singh, have anything to do with a 16-year-old being threatened? Anything.
Padmaja, Muhammad Ayaz, he is trying to use the skill of his knowledge to defend the undefendable. He is trying to think soft on terror. So this is also a format of terrorism, Padmaja, and this is what I call it is intellectual terrorism. You don't have a word for Nupur Sharma. You don't have a word that a 16-year-old girl is being threatened, but you are in support of Mohiya Moitra and Mani Mekalai.
No.
She is also abusing the Hindu goddesses. So this making jalebi of a logic, making jalebi of a logic, this is intellectual terrorism.
The thing
Why
is,
can't you? Why can't you?
You may give your own interpretation. But the point is, if some people like Nupur Sharma, a lawyer, she is not an ordinary man, a spokesman of a political party. She can't be expected to have slipped out of her tongue. So it is there that she has definitely said something.
So tell me this. Okay, I really want to understand this. Ahmed Ayaz Saab, ये बताइए. चलिए, according to you, Nupur Sharma is wrong. She is wrong. Okay, she is wrong. She is being threatened. She is being booked. She is wrong. But what does it have to do with an 18-year-old boy in Bihar being beaten? वो बिहार में बैठ करके लिख रहा है कि कन्हैया लाल जी को मैं सपोर्ट करता हूं, उनके फैमिली के साथ हूं मैं. वो बिहार में क्यों पिट रहा है? उसका नुपुर शर्मा से क्या? What is the logic? Connect the dots for me. Nupur Sharma, Bihar. What is the connection?
Even if Nupur Sharma has, the first thing is, even if Nupur Sharma said something, whatever is happening should not happen. Whatever people say. And the boy, whatever has said about Kanhaiya Lal,
Again, I say it is not at all connected. It must be something different. We also say what has happened with the Kanhaiya Lal is wrong. I also say.
I'm trying to ask you that if today people are being beaten and threatened, what is their fault, Ahmad Ayaz? Let me ask you straight away. What is their fault? उनकी गलती क्या है? I mean, we are in a situation, Mr. Ayaz, where somebody actually wrote an editorial saying Hindu lives matter is a very dangerous slogan. I mean, to say that don't kill Hindus is also dangerous. Is that also hurtful?
Padmaja, you try to understand. I also say what has happened with Kanhaiya Lal is wrong. What has happened?
Sir, you are not answering my question. I asked you that in the last 24 hours, at least 24 people have either been beaten or they've been threatened or they have been asked to apologize or they've basically been told कि you are next. तुम्हारे साथ भी वही होगा. इनकी गलती क्या है, मनस्वी थापर? I still haven't got the answer. इनकी गलती क्या है? What is their fault?
Padmaja, you were reading a brief of Rishi Sunak being could be the next Prime Minister of UK, and we Indians are thriving in the world. And right now in India, we are just discussing how Hindu Muslims and how communal angle we can portray in this country. Vinay Singh, my friend, said that intellectual terrorism is cropping up in this country. The reality is, when did this actually start? Are we going to move ahead our country or are we going to take our country backwards?
Sir, if you are suggesting to discuss the murder of 2 people is wrong and we should discuss Rishi Sunak because, well, who cares about Umesh Kolhe?
No.
Ab Rishi Sunak Prime Minister banenge, great, he's at 10 Downing Street. But Kanhaiya Lal is dead.
You can put words on.
And for me, it's as important to discuss why was Kanhaiya Lal murdered or why was Umesh Kolhe murdered.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to discuss on your editorial. I'm just telling that where are we heading?
That is a great question. When Kanhaiya Lal was beheaded, that is exactly the question I asked. Where are we headed? Where are we headed?
This is the question as a country, my question is that. And my question is...
I am asking the question. You give me an answer. Kanhaiya Lal beheaded, Umesh Kolhe beheaded, 24 people threatened, 5 people beaten. Where are we headed?
That's exactly the right question. Where are we heading?
Answer me then. Where are we headed? Where are we headed?
Is this the country we wanted? No, this is not the country we wanted. You don't have the right to speak.
Sir, you are making generic statements. Answer my question. Where are we headed and who is taking us there?
We are doomed.
Who's dooming us? Who's dooming us?
We imagine this. You are not going to let me complete my sentence.
But sir, you are not answering questions. You are making generic statements. You are saying we are doomed.
No, I'm not making.
First of all, we are not doomed because this will be arrested. But who, according to you, is dooming us?
I think collective responsibility.
Why? Why collective responsibility? Why collective?
The Sarkar is questioning the opposition. The opposition is questioning.
It is not about Sarkar and opposition. No, just a second. Just a second. Binay is saying this is a very convenient straw man of collective responsibility. Bhai, collective people did not behead Kanhaiya. Very specific people killed Kanhaiya. And very specific people are threatening others and beating others. ये collective की क्या बात है?
Investigation is taking place. They are behind the bars.
Binay Singh.
Manaswi, let me reply. Manaswi, I don't think that opposition is really opposed to the government. Opposition is a part of this democracy. It has a role to play. It has a responsibility to deliver. But if you see the history of the opposition in the last 5-6 years, it seems opposition is not opposing the government, it is opposing the India. Opposition is not opposing the government, it is opposing the Indian culture, Indian ethos. Opposition is simply opposing the Hindu society, the majority. So opposition has a responsibility. And Manaswi, we are talking about human rights. We are talking about human rights. Doesn't Hindus have a human right in India? Doesn't Hindus have a human right in India? Doesn't Hindus have a right to expression or a right to live in India?
Okay.
Doesn't Hindu lives matter? So why you get pissed off when someone...
Okay, that's a direct question. Answer that. Bilal Khan. Do Hindu lives not matter? That simply for speaking up for their co-religionists also is supposed to be a crime. Bilal Khan.
इस देश में हर एक इंसान जान की कीमत है, चाहे वो हिंदू हो, मुस्लिम हो या कोई सी कम्युनिटी से ताल्लुक रखने वाला हो। लेकिन जिस तरीके से देश के अंदर हेट स्पीच दी जाती हैं और धर्म संसद के नाम पर मुसलमान की बहन बेटियों के साथ बलात्कार करने
बिलाल साहब, आपको धर्म संसद दिखाई देती है, पर आपको अजमेर दरगाह के बाहर जो सर तन से जुदा के नारे लगे उसकी तारीख भी पता है, किस तारीख को लगे थे?
कोई जस्टिफाई नहीं कर सकता ऐसे लोगों को जो है कानून अपना काम कर रहा है। ये तो
अजमेर दरगाह में आपको कानून याद आता है, धर्म संसद में भी तो कानून काम ही कर रहा है ना। धर्म संसद का हवाला देके आप कहते हैं कि देश हैज गॉन टू द डॉग्स, बट अजमेर दरगाह में जो हो रहा है उसमें आप नहीं कहेंगे?
सर तन से जुदा मुसलमानों का आपने सुना कि सर तन से जुदा मुसलमानों का कर देंगे 1 सेकंड में, वो नहीं चलाएंगे आप लोग। एक तरफा सिलेक्टिव जो चीजें हैं वो आपको पसंद
सर एक तरफ, अगर आप एक तरफा आर्ग्यूमेंट दे रहे हैं, एटलीस्ट आई एम अग्रीइंग विद यू दैट राजू दास सेड इट and let me also say he should be booked and jailed for it. But that being said, the moment I ask you कि सरवर चिश्ती की प्रेजेंस में गौहर चिश्ती ने सर तन से जुदा के नारे लगाए, उनको जेल होना चाहिए कि नहीं? आप कहेंगे इस मैटर में इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहा है, and that is where you keep pointing out the dual standards, and these are not just dual standards, these are very, very dangerous standards. That, sir, is the problem. However, like we've been saying, there is a point after which there will be a concerted, intellectual and lawful pushback, because no one can be bullied in their own country. Thanks very much all gentlemen for joining me. Quick break.